Bryan Kohberger's case generates controversy no matter what. Now the question is cameras in the courtroom. Despite popular opinion, that issue has not been resolved. There are three main arguments for keeping cameras out. What are they? Hi, I'm attorney Andrew Myers here and About the Law, taking a look at the Bryan Kohberger case and cameras in the courtroom. This is an issue that's kind of dear to me, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. My co-host usually is Lainey Law, but she can't be with me for this episode because she has a wedding to go to. So we're going to try and take a look at this myself. So be kind to me since this is my first solo appearance. Now, the court held a hearing on a motion to dismiss the case. That didn't go anywhere. I think all serious legal observers knew that it wouldn't. But the court came out and made a couple of comments about cameras and said that for the time being, they will allow cameras, at least for these preliminary motions, and there will be more. The trial has not been scheduled as we sit here today, and there is a pending motion by Bryan Kohberger's attorneys to get cameras out of the courtroom. Why? Well, they have a lot of reasons, but the judge said for now, anyhow, he will allow cameras in the courtroom, although he is really kind of uncomfortable with the entire idea. And why is he uncomfortable with the idea? Let's take a look.
What I'm going to do is take control of the cameras in the courtroom. I'm not going to ban cameras in the courtroom, but I need to have more control over what the cameras are doing.
Now, what does he mean by more control? We can only surmise that due to the judge's discomfort with the things that are done with the images that come out of the court, that he feels the need to prevail more over what is done with the cameras in the court. And there's only so much one can do. Concerns include looking at the notes of the attorneys, which I haven't seen in any of the trials that I've watched. I watch pretty much gavel-to-gavel coverage of the Alexander Murdoch murder trial. I watched the Letitia Stock trial. Excellent judge in that case allowed the cameras. And the basic contentions of those who don't want the cameras in the courtroom are that it can jeopardize the defendant's right to a fair trial. And that is a legitimate concern. But the thing is that cameras have been in courtrooms for a long time now. And I haven't heard anyone say that, at least in the two trials that I just mentioned, that the video presentations of those trials had anything to do with taking away the right to a fair trial. Now, Mr. Murdoch has other grounds to appeal, but what are the three basic reasons they don't want cameras in the courtroom in the Kohberger case? The judge said he has been disappointed by how some photos and video footage is later used by individuals on the internet. He feels that it sensationalizes the matter too much. The problem with that concern is that, one can do everything they can to make the cameras show a fair portrayal of what's going on in the courtroom, but there are always going to be those elsewhere in various media that do what they do. This goes back 100 years, or more. One of my favorite quotes, William Randolph Hearst actually said, "Give me the photos and I'll give you a war." Well, based on what's going on in the world right now, that's not funny. But the point of it is that there have always been generators of, crazy angles on any case. And whether or not the fact of cameras in a courtroom is not what generates that, it's the people that are out there. Do we really want to see sketches of what's going on in the courtroom, or do we want to see what's really going on in the courtroom? Reason number two, people want to keep cameras out of the courtroom, and this is from the attorneys for Mr. Kohberger. They claim that this would, and I want to quote accurately, so that's why I'm looking at my notes, folks. They claim that the cameras in the courtroom create almost a sideshow, and they want a total ban keeping the cameras out altogether. And they say that the reason for that is that it would take away the sensationalization of the case and just kind of reduce it, hopefully, to words on a page. Well, as I just pointed out with the quote from William Randolph Hearst, words on a page are words on a page, but who's writing the words and who's regenerating them in, 100 years ago, even before television, it was the newspapers. And even with just the newspapers, things could be generated that were out of control. So that's our real problem in saying that, well, we're going to keep the cameras out because then we'll have accuracy. Because you know what? If the cameras are in the courtroom and people at home have an actual view into what happened in the courtroom and the actual words, and notice I played the actual quote of what the judge said, you can see for yourself, and you can judge for yourself what is going on in that courtroom. And actually, in my opinion, and I promised you earlier I would tell you why this is an issue that's near and dear to me. In my opinion, that is better to show people the actual words and the actual video of what happened. Because if you see people speaking and you hear the actual words, you can judge for yourself. Remember that at a trial, credibility is always an issue. So there might be 3 or 10 or 20 different ways to mouth the same words, but to see a witness actually say those words tells you a lot about that case. And the third major reason why various parties want to keep cameras out of the courtroom is because the prosecutor, even the state of Idaho attorneys, actually argued that, and again, I'm looking at my notes because I want to be as accurate as I can. The prosecutors said, our contention is that the safest and best way to address all of these concerns is to prohibit cameras in the courtroom, or at least bar them from filming or shooting sensitive evidence or witnesses. And so let's take a look at that. There have been some trials where there were witnesses that the court sought to protect, and that can certainly be addressed. Witnesses can be excluded from the coverage and certain evidence. For example, in the Murdoch case, they did not show the autopsy pictures and some of the other gruesome material that went into evidence and that the jury could see. And so these are a couple of things that courts actually can do. They can say, well, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and not allow any cameras at all. We are going to allow video coverage, but there are certain witnesses whose identity we want to protect for whatever reason. And there is certain evidence that we just don't want anyone out in the public to see, maybe because it's inflammatory, maybe because we don't trust the regenerators of material that are out there. And I am not going to blame the YouTubers or the podcasters because, hey, here I am, going all the way back to the William Randolph Hearst days. People in the newspaper business, some, not all, did whatever they could to increase the angle on the stuff to sell newspapers. Let's be honest about it, because a lot of people have said that other than me, and that's just the way it was. So that goes, way beyond, regenerators that are out there now on various media. Now, going for cameras in the courtroom is an attorney by the name of Wendy Olson. She was hired by a conglomeration of media outlets, including the Associated Press and the Idaho Statesman and many others. And they say the solution to the problem is more sunshine, not less, making many of the arguments that I've said. And they said that, limiting the publishing of the material will almost encourage misinformation, because if people can't see what's going on in the court, they have to just kind of, wing it, and the media will just have to kind of wing it. Now, one thing the judge did in this case, which I scratch my head about, the judge issued an ultimatum that laptops would not be allowed in the courtroom. And in my opinion, that is an act of outright hostility to the media, because in 2023, do you remember those old steno pads? At least the reporters in the audience will remember those old steno pads that the reporters used to use. this is 2023, and the way to cover a story is on your laptop. You can listen to the testimony, bang it out, and file it from court. So again, in my opinion, to just level an outright ban on laptop computers in 2023 is just outright wrong and just shows hostility to the media. Moving on, how do the families feel? Because, this whole case is about the four victims of these murders. And how do the families? That is a really important consideration, isn't it? Well, an attorney for the Goncalves family by the name of Shannon Gray represents that family, but also a couple of the members of the Kernodle family. Apparently, the family is a little bit split on this. But that attorney said that members of those families want cameras in the courtroom. They feel that sunshine, again, is the best thing for this. And again, I refer to my notes only because what she said in open court is important. The attorney for the two of the victims said, and I quote, "So it is vitally important that the trial be viewed publicly. It is important that the victim's family, relatives, community members, and the public, that this veil of secrecy be lifted at trial. This not only ensures accountability for all of the parties, but also helps the public maintain its faith in the justice system." Those words are really important to me because I'm thinking the more we have secrecy, there's a gag order in the case. Initially, investigators were very quiet for the first 6 weeks after the November 13th, 2022 killings and the time they arrested Mr. Kohberger on the 31st of December, the very last day of 2022. They played everything very close to the chest, and that generated a lot of controversy. That generated a lot of questions. People just naturally have a natural curiosity about what's going on. These murders were just a head shaker to begin with. Parents all over the world send their kids to college and they hope that those kids are safe. So when something like this happened, people all over the world, not just the United States, were just, in shock and needed to know what was going on. And I repeat, needed to know what's going on. I can make all kinds of First Amendment arguments. Trust me, I can make all kinds of, free press arguments, free speech arguments. Put that aside just for now. People need to know what's going on these things. And there's just this intense curiosity and need to know. So as the case goes on and as these hearings go on and cameras are kept at bay or there's secrecy, people are going to wonder what's going on. For example, there was a hearing on the motion to dismiss, which I said any legal mind seriously knew that was going to be dismissed. But that portion of the hearing was secret. What happened in there, what was said in there. People are going to wonder if at trial cameras are kept out. People are going to wonder, what the heck? Why? What really was said in that trial? And with all of the major trials, including the several that I've already mentioned, if this one is kept quiet, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. And I quote the attorney for the media who said, this is not going to be a good day for the judicial system itself if cameras are just outright banned. So this is not the final word. The judge said that he's going to allow the cameras into these hearings, and there will be more hearings coming up. But, he wants to maintain more control. What that means and how this is going to go, we don't know. We're going to find out. I'll be talking about it. One of the solutions that was mentioned by one of the attorneys was that just put the camera way in the back of the room like they do for C-SPAN and just, shoot down on the trial. Will that happen? Don't know. Do we need a total ban? No. Do we need just putting the camera in the back of the room? No. But my guess is that the judge is taking this very seriously and that he will come out with some guidelines. The motion that was filed by Attorney Olson to allow cameras in the courtroom has not been ruled on. So the fact that cameras were allowed in for this hearing doesn't tell us what's going to happen in the end. The judge has not acted on that motion. And my educated guess, I would like to say, is that there'll be a kind of lengthy ruling on what the judge means by he wants to have more control. I've actually seen and been a part of trials where there's actually a media room in the courthouse where there is a feed. There's one camera or maybe two cameras, but they're controlled by one media outlet that's designated as the pool coverage. And then the media is allowed in a totally different room where they can watch, they can listen, they can have their laptops type up the stories, and they can either go live with their stand-ups, or they can file stuff, printed material for the printed media. So that is a solution that I have actually myself seen work in some cases. I told you at the beginning here, this is an issue that's near and dear to me, and only my closest friends at this point know why that is. And that is, before I went to law school, I was actually a TV reporter and producer and weekend anchor. I covered trials as a TV reporter and radio reporter. I remember those days fondly, but I did move on and go into the legal profession. I've been practicing law for many, many years. But so that's why this is an issue that's near and dear to me. We will post additional information as it is released by the court. And with all due respect to all of the parties, be kind, be safe. Have we made a mistake or two in the past? Yes, and we try to correct those right away. These are our opinions here on About the Law, and we would hope that you would be kind to us, be kind to each other, and be kind generally. So thanks for watching. If you're still with us, please don't forget to like and subscribe and share with your friends. I hope you have a great day. You have been watching About the Law, a production of the law offices of Andrew D. Myers in Methuen in the Merrimack Valley of Massachusetts and in Derry, just outside of Manchester, New Hampshire. Remember to click the like and subscribe buttons down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with your friends and others. If you'd like to talk to me about an injury case, a car accident, a slip and fall, a serious bodily injury case, or some other case, please feel free to contact me. I'd love to talk to you. You can contact us through my website at attorney-myers.com. We have a contact us block, or you can call on one of the telephone numbers we've given there, or you can email me at andrew@attorney-myers.com. The foregoing is offered for informational purposes only. It is not intended as and does not constitute legal advice. Laws vary widely from state to state. You should rely only on the advice given to you during a personal consultation by a local attorney thoroughly familiar with state laws and the area of practice in which your concern lies. This podcast must be and hereby is labeled advertisement in some jurisdictions.